Thank you, Jen. A question about immigration.
Sure.
Why is it that large numbers of single adult men are being released into the United States just hours after being apprehended at the southern border?
Well, I'm not sure the specifics of what you're referring to, Peter. What I can tell you in terms of what our policy is and how we're approaching the border is that we continue to be under Title 42. Migrants who cannot be expelled under Title 42 are placed into immigration proceedings, and one of those avenues could be placement in an alternative to detention program in the interior of the United States. Sometimes that means moving migrants to other parts of the United States to move to different detention facilities where they wait for next steps in the immigration process, such as a court hearing, and are required to check in with a local ICE office. So that is certainly something that is happening out there in the country and is consistent with our policy.
And you mentioned that they're supposed to check in at a local ICE office, but we know that just between March and August, which is a very small sample size, DHS says more than 47,000 of these migrants that were given notices to report did not show up. So why let them into the U.S. unsupervised in the first place?
Well, again, we have a stringent protocols and processes that we implement here. That includes expelling individuals who come in under Title 42, given we are still in a global pandemic, and includes those who do not show up will be subject to the repercussions of that. So that is the policy we're implementing from our Homeland Security Department.
Okay, on Ukraine, President Biden met with Putin in person in June in Geneva, and afterwards he came out and he said that the two of them arrived at a conclusion. He said, it's clearly not in anybody's interest, your countries or mine, for us to be in a situation where we're in a new Cold War, and I truly believe he thinks that he understands that. Has the president changed his opinion about what Putin thinks?
How are you suggesting we're in a new Cold War?
I'm just asking, it seems like the president thought in June that things were going to be good. And right now, things are not looking good.
I don't actually think that's at all what the president said. He gave an extensive press conference where he conveyed it wouldn't happen overnight and that there was work that we could do together. And that is something that's how you approach a diplomatic relationship. You are vocal. There are consequences when you disagree and when you have strong concerns. And you've seen us implement those. You still look for places and areas where you can work together. That remains how we're working with Russia.
Okay, there's a BuzzFeed report now suggesting that the Ukrainian government is upset the U.S. pulled citizens out of Ukraine before many other countries did. And this report says that a source close to the Ukrainian president thinks those Americans are safer in Kyiv than in Los Angeles. What do you make of that?
Well, we're always going to make decisions that are in the security interests of people who are serving as diplomats around the world. And we have assessments that are made by the State Department, hence the decision and the announcement made over the last couple of days, and the fact that we put in a level 4 advisory back in October, conveying very clearly to Americans they should leave Ukraine. Look, I will let others assess, but there are 100,000 troops, Russian troops, on the border of Ukraine, and no clarity that the leader of Russia doesn't intend to invade. That sounds pretty dangerous to me. I would also say that the Ukrainian leaders have welcomed the security assistance, and they've even met us at the airport that we have been providing over the course of the last several days. So that seems to be contradicting that assessment.
Okay, and then last one. The Secretary of State a few days ago tweeted, hashtag stand with Ukraine. Has that ever worked at stopping an authoritarian regime from doing anything? A hashtag?
I will have to say that unlike the last administration, we don't think Twitter is the only means of engaging or negotiating or discussing important topics. But it is important for us to convey to the Ukrainian people who do view commentary through a range of forums. I don't know how many are Fox News watchers, maybe some of them, and including social media, that we stand with them, we support them. And that includes in their efforts to protect the sovereignty of their country. Go ahead.
You mentioned the visit by the German chancellor.
Yeah.
Do you have a date on that? Or is it
Not
still
yet.
finalized?
Hopefully we'll have one soon.
Okay. Can I then pivot back